This is one of those deep, maybe emotional videos. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. Today I want to address a topic that I kind of got to tangentially in a recent video where I was talking about my family rating my crochet. And so I did ask at that video if anyone would be interested in me kind of talking about how we interact with our family in regards to our crochet, their opinions, things like that. And I did get a couple of people say, yeah, go ahead, we'd love to hear your thoughts. So that is what this video is going to be. Now, three kind of disclaimers. Number one, it is, as I'm recording, the day that we're supposed to get this big snowstorm. And so this topic can be pretty intense. So my hope is that I might pepper some images, some video of snowy winter wonderland throughout this to kind of help lighten the load. So that's where that's coming from. Doesn't have to do with crochet, but just this can be a big topic, a big emotional one. That's kind of the second disclaimer. It is an emotional thing, right? We care about the things that we make and we care about our friends and family. So as I talk this through, you might start to feel some stuff, some deep buried stuff that you are uncomfortable with. It might be really painful. So if that's not a place that you want to go, then thank you so much for listening this long. You never have to continue watching. My heart is not to open you up. I am not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a pastor. I'm just a friend, maybe. Maybe you consider me a friend on YouTube. And if you were sitting here across from me and we were sipping our tea, then we could talk about how crochet and our families interact and how that affects us. That's kind of the heart of this video. Final disclaimer. I am a Christian and I will be using that as a reference point for how I perceive the role of crochet in my family and in my relationships and things of that nature. So if that's not your cup of tea, then thanks so much for listening this long. I do hope I'll catch you in another video at another time. So no worries either way. But yeah, those of you who are still hanging out, let's talk about family or close friends and our crochet. So number one, yeah, we've all had interactions and experiences with our family and with our crochet. I have had children or friends or people in my life request certain things, and I'll explain to them the limitations, what I can do and what I can't do. And then somehow I create the thing and it's still heartbreaking to that recipient because it's just not quite right. That's a bummer. Or you make something for someone and it just doesn't quite fit right. Or maybe you make something for someone and they treat it really poorly. Sometimes it can be really helpful just to share those experiences and know that you're not alone. So at any point in the comments, if you're like, hey Mary, I really just need to tell someone this, someone who really understands, go ahead and put that in the comments. Number one, I'll read it. Number two, other people will read it. But my heart is to help you know that you're not alone in your experiences and that, yeah, that really hurts when you make something for someone and it's not received well. It really does hurt, and that hurt matters. And it's logical and it's understood. And so today I want to talk about, in my experience, kind of why it matters and what we can do about it. So in that regard, let's talk about number one, why do we crochet? I think that we crochet because we were made in the image of a creative God. And so when we create, we're actually being a reflection of our creator. And so it's actually a beautiful way to connect with a true part of our identity, an uncorrupted, you might say, part of our identity. It's something that is pure. It nourishes our soul. It can nourish our spirit. And I think with crochet especially, it's something that we do with our hands. I feel like sometimes there's a difference between creating something like desktop publishing versus with our hands. And that kind of takes us to a more ancient place. Historically speaking, we did a lot with our hands. We didn't have machines to do so much. So number one, that's kind of taking us there. It's a very human. It involves your body. It involves your mind. You have to plan. It involves your heart, right? When we crochet, we are making something that is either beautiful or lovely or useful or practical. And so there is this element of hope in it. I hope that it turns out well. I even hope that the recipient will like it. But even just creating it in general, I hope that this thing makes a difference. I hope that my physical effort, my emotional investment, my time investment somehow makes the world a better place. Maybe I'm making someone's head warmer on a crazy cold day, all those donations that we've done. I hope that those are in places that are really encouraging to people. People feel loved and that they are going to be able to keep warm in this cold weather. Y'all, we know that our hearts are with those that do not have the resources to keep warm. So crocheting for a good cause, right? There's hope involved. There's hope that it makes a difference. There's hope that it makes a practical difference. If you're making dishcloths, if you are making coasters, if you're maybe making soap sacks, those are very practical things that make your life better, that are protective, help you just maintain life. But even just making things that are beautiful or cute or joyful, like my amigurumi back here. This sweet little amigurumi bear was sent to me from Cassandra, one of my YouTube friends who's just wonderful. And if I remember, I'll link her video in the description. She's always linked, y'all. She's wonderful. If you don't know her already, I would highly recommend her channel. But she sent me this little bear and it just brings me so much joy just for the fact that it exists and it came from her. So there is this element of hope, emotion, physical, right? When we crochet, it hits us on multiple levels and it calls to a deep place in who we are. I believe that we are made to make our world a better place. I think that's part of what it means to be human, to contribute to society. It's not good for man to be alone. So we actually need each other and we need to benefit each other. And it's really deeply fulfilling, not only to make something, to be creative, because that again connects us to original design. We are like our creative father, but we are also making the world a more beautiful place. We're connecting to others and we are connecting to past generations of humans. So it's a really, when we crochet, it's a really holistic experience. It's really powerful and it really, really matters. So all that to kind of start with this baseline of when we make something for someone else, it is a very deep and a rich experience, and it is something that you can't really put a price on, right? The time, the effort, the thought, the care, it really matters, and it's more valuable than a monetary assignment, right? You can look at Etsy and see how people are pricing their crocheted goods, but you cannot put a price on the heart behind it. You can go to the fanciest restaurant and have these intricate, delicious things, but you could also have someone in your family make you that comfort food, and it will hit different than any $100 meal that you could buy prepared by the finest chef, right? It's going to hit different. We are emotional creatures. So let's now go to the relationship part of this, right? We know that crochet is very powerful. It's really giving a lot of who we are, and it's meant to connect and make the world a better place. So let's talk about what are the needs that people have in general, and then we'll connect that to relationship. So what do people need? I mean, we learned this in elementary school. We need shelter, food and water, we need clothing, and we need relationship. And so from there, now again, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, but those relationship needs could be things like emotional safety, somewhere, some relationship in which you can be your absolute worst and still be accepted and still be loved and cared for. And not that when I'm at my worst, that the person I'm being my worst to doesn't react to. That's fine. We can make it be messy. It's okay that it's messy, but it's that those people, those relationships, that you come back around together and say, hey, I was out of line. I was in pain and I was mean to you because I was hurting so badly. And they can say, yeah, I'm sorry. I was mean to you because I was hurting so badly. Let's actually keep moving towards each other. Let the mess be the mess, but we're going to keep moving towards each other and be that security and that safety for each other. We all need those relationships. We all need unconditional love and acceptance. And so that is a place where I think we get gummed up in our crochet and our gifts and our creativity, because so many times what happens is we don't have the tools that we need to communicate properly. Like a lot of times we'll have these experiences when we're young and we don't have the words to explain what we're feeling inside or what we need from our mother, our father, our cousin, our sibling, our grandparents, our aunts and uncles, our friends, our neighbors, whatever these relationships are, our teachers. That's a big one. Y'all, I have degrees in education, and the number of times that adults would talk about experiences that they had with teachers that just shut their hearts down. Oh, I drew a picture for my teacher and then I saw it in the trash and I didn't pick up a crayon or a paintbrush again for years. You know, there are these moments that we do our best, right? Like no one wants to actually hurt each other. Not really, right? I'm sure those teachers had no idea the damage that was happening. But that child who sees their hard work in the trash, I told y'all this might be triggering, they then receive the message and they don't have the language to say, that really hurt. I felt rejected when you did that. Now, the teacher might have just been like, I was cleaning off my desk. I didn't even notice that it was there. But because at that moment we don't have the language or even the courage to say something about it, or maybe that person says, oh, yeah, you're right. You know, I'm so sorry. Or they might even respond poorly. Oh, just get over it. It's okay. It's a drawing, right? And that's a whole other topic of working through those relationships. But I use that example of like the teacher and a drawing to kind of map onto us with our crochet and the people that we give our pieces to. You know, we talk about in this community, are they crochet worthy? Are they knit worthy? Are they craft worthy? Is it worth the massive investment? You know, we just talked about it's our hands, it's our heart, it's the genetic code of what it means to be a human, to work with our hands and to, you know, all this impact of generations. That genetically is playing out in us as we crochet. Not that your grandparents crocheted and your great, but the working with our hands aspect. So we have all this to bear, plus our emotions, plus the hope, plus the thought. It is not a small gift. And so when that is rejected, let's just call it rejected, fault is found with it. Oh, we take that personally. Oh, you're really finding fault with me. This is what's going to happen. If I give you my heart, if I share with you who I am, my thoughts, my desires, my hopes, my history, my skills, I'm hoping that you'll receive me with love. It's not just that I'm offering you a piece that like was mass produced in China and I picked it up at the dollar store, right? I'm giving you something incredibly valuable. And you're saying, oh, that's so great, thanks. And then you regift it. That's rejection. That is rejection. That is the name of that. Or, oh, you know what would be really great? If you had done this in a different color. Oh man, that's so, oh, could you, you should sell these. You could sell these for $5 each. I'm sure y'all have had that happen to you too, because people start to know that you crochet and they're like, you could make money on this. Why? Why would I want to? Why do I need to make money on my heart? Ooh, here's a hot take. Is it prostitution if you're selling your heart? Do you feel like that ever? You're like, oh, you just put a dollar amount on something that is so incredibly precious to me. You put a dollar amount in some ways on me. Am I willing to sell myself for that? Y'all, I told y'all it was going to get deep. It was going to get intense. And so not that we're cognizant of this, right? But I'm just saying, underneath the stuff of like, oh man, I made that baby shower gift and they're like, oh, that's so great. That's so great. I love it. And then it's like regifted at another baby shower, or it turns up in, the white elephant gift later on. All of that, it hurts because of these deep places. And so many times we don't want to go to those deep places and admit that it hurts, because the reality is like, we actually need something from this person. We were expecting something in return. So let's talk about boundaries and expectations. So we already established that there are needs. People have needs. And one of the big ones is that unconditional love, acceptance, and safety. Those relationships that are really safe. We need each other, right? We need to be accepted by friends and family. We need to be part of a community. And you can think about it in terms of like nested layers, like the internal part of an onion, the layers of an onion. Ogres are like onions. We are like onions. We have layers. We are not parfaits because it's all around us, right? So you have yourself, you have the people you directly interact with, you have like your family, then you have like your friends, or, there's some interplay in there. But we need those places where we are loved and accepted, where we can grow and we can be free to know that we can make mistakes and all that kind of good stuff. So boundaries. This is a challenge because some of us are taught growing up to not have boundaries. And I think this is where I speak as an elder millennial. I have no judgment for how I was raised. Y'all, my parents and the generations that came before me, like I can imagine growing up the way that they did. And they are equipped and they did what they knew to do. In the same way that I'm equipped, I can't anticipate what the future will be for my children. So I'm doing the best I can with what I have. So like, I don't have judgment for how I was raised, and I'm praying that my kids won't judge me too harshly for how they're being raised, because there's just so many things we can't control, we don't know. But all that to say, yeah, some of us grew up with poor boundaries. And that meant that we didn't have maybe bodily autonomy. If someone wants to give us a hug, they get to hug us when we're children. If someone wants to pick us up, they get to pick us up. Or we are forced to share, or all these different kinds of things, right? And so we grow up believing that maybe boundaries don't matter. But then it's hard because we also get confused about what is required for relationship. And relationship becomes this thing, or it can become this thing where it is transactional. If I do this, then you will do this. And so on the one hand, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, if then. And so that makes sense, right? There's a logic and an order to it. But the challenging thing with humans is there are so many infinite varieties and variables and variations in behavior. So if I do this, and I've learned that this leads to a certain result in my family or in one particular friend, I try that with someone else and I get a completely different result. So back into crochet, we offer our hearts, we expect, based on experience, we expect, oh, this thing is wonderful, it'll be well received, but instead it's rejected, or we have a negative experience, or there's pain because that person doesn't respond the way we thought. And now we're in trouble. And now what do? Well, we might say, you are not crochet worthy. I'm not going to give you my heart. I'm going to shut down. Which is a form of boundaries. Boundaries are important, number one, because it acknowledges that I have value that is worth protecting. I have intrinsic worth. And because crochet encompasses a large part of my heart and who I am, my crochet has worth. It has value. And it is worth protecting. And so on the one hand, yeah, you're not crochet worthy. I'm cutting you out of that part of my life. So be it. But boundaries only work if you don't need something from that person. If my child is 18 years old and I say, yep, you can get out of the house, go be free, do whatever you want, but they're still driving my car, then I still have a say in their lives. Okay? They need me for something. They need me to pay that car insurance because they don't have the money, or they need me to pay for whatever else. As long as there is something that person needs from me, I have power over them, and boundaries cannot really be enforced because there's that kind of unequal relationship there. One person has power over the other. You would find this in negotiations, right? Like the ideal negotiation is that two people both walk away feeling like they got a good deal. But if one person is benefiting the other, well, what is the cost of that? There's a power imbalance there. So boundaries and crochet and being crochet worthy. Here's the question. And this is a hard one because it's usually painful, and it involves many times these experiences of pain, these childhood moments of, I'll call it little t trauma. I think that's a therapist word, but little t trauma. Maybe it's not the big, huge, ugly that has really derailed your life, but it hurts, right? When I go back to that memory, it hurts. It's that feeling of rejection. It's that feeling of, oh, I made something that was wonderful and now you rejected it. I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed for who I am. How dare I? Maybe I'm just not good at crochet, or maybe I'm just not good at doing people. Maybe I'm just meant to be alone. Maybe I so misunderstood. And we internalize that shame. And that shame then says, okay, yep, not safe. I don't want to feel that shame anymore. I don't want to feel, well, sometimes it's anger, right? Anger feels, for me, I go to anger because anger feels a lot more powerful than shame or sadness. It feels really weak sometimes to feel sad. I don't feel powerful when I'm sad. I feel at the mercy of sadness. I can't get out of it. I don't like feeling sad. But if I'm angry, to cover up that sadness, to cover up that shame, even to cover up that hurt, anger. Okay. Well, I'm going to take control. And so I'm going to control the situation. I'm not going to crochet for you anymore. I'm not going to offer my heart to you anymore. You are not worthy. And it becomes this moment where it's no longer about me just saying like, hey, I misunderstood. I thought that I would get this reaction. I invested and I didn't get a return on that investment. So I now can learn. Instead of us kind of saying like, hey, this was a learning moment for me, it becomes about that other person. You are not worthy. You didn't do what I thought. Therefore, I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to control this situation so that I don't have to feel that pain again, that pain of rejection. Because the reality is, I gave you something precious and valuable, and you rejected it, and you didn't value it. and I actually didn't get my need met, my need for a safe place, my need for acceptance. And so now, say that's your spouse, your husband, your wife. That's going to be really hard, because actually the marriage relationship is a really powerful one when there is freedom for both parties to be at their worst and to know that they're committed enough to come back to each other, right? Two people who are genuinely committed to working on themselves and growing themselves and learning how to love in a way that that other person receives it. So maybe it's a spouse that hurts you. It's not going to do you any good to be like, I'm going to cut off my spouse. You are not crochet worthy. Or your child or your parent, right? When we take control, we're kind of saying, I'm never going to feel that pain again, so I'm just not going to do it. Well, that is a form of boundaries. It's a form of setting boundaries, but the problem is that when we're focusing on like, you are reacting in a way or you're behaving in a way that I don't like, we almost negate, or we don't take the time sometimes to go back and say, hey, that hurt me. Now, feelings, y'all, this is a rambly video. Feelings are important, right? Feelings tell us that something is wrong, but how do we deal with them? How do we get rid of unpleasant feelings? Well, if anyone knows the secret to that, please do tell me. But as far as I understand, feelings exist almost the way that a thermometer exists in any space, right? It's a gauge for something else that's going on. If the temperature spikes really high, there's a problem. Maybe there's an electrical fire brewing, or maybe the temperature drops. I'm looking out my window right now. I'm watching the snow. It is beautiful. The temperature drops. There is snow a-coming. We need to prepare, right? Feelings can be a gauge. I'm angry. Ooh, something's going on here. I'm sad. Ooh, something's going on here. There's a need of my heart that's not getting met. So this is where, man, I'm so thankful for Jesus, because his sacrifice, his life, his resurrection, the way that he came to reconnect us with the Father means that all of my needs can be met. When my father and mother forsake me, the Lord is with me. I can't remember which psalm that is, but it's in there, right? Like, we have David, a man after God's own heart, who constantly is following God. And he's constantly saying to God, hey, enemies are attacking me. This is not good. God, you protect those that trust in you, but all this bad stuff is happening. I'm rejected. I'm poor. I'm all these kinds of things. We have the benefit of the full story of his life, so we know how God turned things around. But he's coming to God with his heart and saying, hey, you are the one that I put my hope in. I can't put my hope in man. I can't put my hope in relationships. I can't put my hope in myself. I have to come to you. And that's who I'm coming to. You're my creator. You're my maker. And way, way, way back in the beginning, I was made to be in perfect relationship with you. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve had work to do. They worked with their hands. They organized and named things. They created order from this garden. And they got to walk with God in the cool of the day. They were clothed in the glory of God. They were in his presence at all times. And that is what our hearts long for. They were accepted. They were loved. There was no doubt about that. So how do I experience that? Because the point is, for me at least, I want to give from a place of fullness, not from a place of transaction. I don't actually want someone to have power over me where I'm like, hey, I need something from you. I need your love and acceptance. Therefore, I'm going to make you this sweater that I don't even want to make. And then I give it to you and it doesn't fit you right and you are upset with me. Okay, actually, I needed your acceptance and your love. So I did this thing for you, and you have power over me now, right? That's not a healthy boundary, because there's a need that I'm looking to you to meet. We know that you can't please everyone. And it is the work of a lifetime and the work of prayer to get people into your lives that will love you and accept you for who you are. And it is a really painful thing. Friendship, relationship, these are really painful things because there's a lot more error in the trial than we wish there were. But thank God for Jesus. Thank God for Jesus, because in coming to him and learning to hear his voice, in knowing the scriptures and knowing the Bible, we hear God's heart for us. And his desire is to fill us so that it's not even our own hope and our own beauty, it's the reflection of his hope and his beauty that we bring to the world. And so then I can freely say, you know what, honey? I love that you appreciate my crochet, but I'm not going to make that for you. And I trust that you won't receive that as rejection from me. And even if you do, I trust that you can go to God and God will complete. You can go to God and God will fulfill your heart with all of the acceptance, because God so loved you that he sent his son to be sacrificed for you, to be resurrected, to restore relationship, to take the punishment that you deserve, that I deserve, so that we can be fully free. We can reconnect with that beautiful Father from the garden who just loves us completely. He has never stopped loving us. In the book of John, Jesus says, I will not leave you orphans. I will come to you. He talks about he's going to his Father to prepare a place for us so that we can be with him where he is. He wants to be with us. He loves being with us. Even in our fallen, messy state, he loves us. He wants to be with us. He is complete love and acceptance. He is the fulfillment of that deep need. And he knows us so well. And all he wants is to be with us. That's it, y'all. Like, God just wants to be with us. And it broke his heart that we would choose a different way. And all he's ever wanted to do is just be with us. He made us because he loves us. He wants to hang out with us, right? He loves us. So if I can come from that place of fullness, then yeah, I can create and I can give. And I already have that need met, right? Or I can keep coming back to the Lord. Lord, I need some love from my husband. It's not working out so well. I'm feeling rejected. Help me understand, Lord. Help me to fulfill that. And not to say it's not a process. I mean, the Psalms are full of David saying, hey, are you going to help me out? I know what you're like. My enemies are surrounding me, but you are my strong tower. I'm waiting on you to come through for me, right? There is a process too. I'm not saying that it's not even saying it's not painful or hard, but it's such a cliche. Well, like, Jesus, take the wheel. You know, Jesus is the answer. But I mean, in my opinion, in my experience, he really is. And so then from that place of fullness, I can give without strings attached. I can give without expectation. And I can also say no. Like, no, I'm not going to make that for you. And I trust that you're going to be okay with that our relationship will withstand that. And if it doesn't, that's okay, because Holy Spirit is my best friend. And so other friends are periphery to that. It's such a different place. So then we can do a video saying, like, let's let my family rate my crochet. And they could, have completely different opinions, and that's totally fine, because my security is not in what they think of my crochet, which is shorthand for my heart. My security is in my Father, knowing that I was made to be creative. I was made in the image of someone who's wonderful, who loves being with me, who moved heaven and earth and whooped the devil in hell in order to be with me. So that, y'all, that is it. That is the Alpha and the Omega, the sum total of my thoughts on other people's opinion on my crochet. So y'all, we went deep, we went high. I hope that this has been a good video for you. I've certainly loved just talking this through. And actually, to be honest, it's been fun because this is some ideas. Y'all, I think I've done similar videos to this in the past. And it's really neat for me to be able to sit here. I don't have a script. I've thought about it a little bit, but I feel like, this kind of was organized fairly well off the cuff. So that's really encouraging to me, just to like hear myself say, okay, all of this has so become a part of my operating system that I can just spit it out. It's one thing to learn something and to like have to be practicing it, but it's another thing when you know it so well, it's just like part of your cells. So thank you for allowing me to share my cells with you. Yeah, y'all, thoughts, comments, like, shares, whatever. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for even like up until this point, all the encouragement, right? Of even continuing the channel and reaching out to y'all. It is a total joy. And yeah, if you want to know more about Jesus, please do let me know. My email address is always in the description. Love to hear testimonies, love to hear stories. If you need to vent, go ahead and vent. You're safe. I don't mind some cuss words. I don't have any judgment. Y'all know. Well, maybe you don't know, but I have, yeah, let's just leave it at that. Y'all be real. And you get to be that. I'm not going to judge you. I know that when things hurt, they hurt. So yeah, y'all, if you've made it this long, thank you so much. And yeah, I do hope I will get to spend some more time with you in the near future. So until then, bye.